When you look back at your childhood, what was your belief about yourself that drives you today?
I grew up in a very tiny steel mill town. Mom was a lunch mother serving lunches to us kids at school, and Dad was a guy that worked in the steel mill. We had about 6,000 people in our little town.
What people misunderstand mostly about journey? Do they take it as something where I need to come to the end destination, or do they overestimate it, underestimate it?
Well, I think the majority of people look for the short, quick road, and they don't understand it's a journey, right? It's a process. It's a lifelong pursuit, and they're looking for like the quick fix. Like they want the quick relationship. They want the quick success. They want the quick money.
What's the biggest lie people believe about becoming a professional speaker? What do you see nowadays where people come to you and say why they cannot make it, why they cannot be professional speakers?
The number one reason is because it's not what I hear all the time, because a lot of times I have to tell them this because they don't understand it. They think that the message and the story that they have is what actually makes them successful. Nothing could be further from the truth. If you listen to people online who teach become a speaker, they completely teach people the wrong way. All of them. I see them all doing this.
Do you believe fear ever fully disappears, or it's something what we get over and somehow get comfortable with?
You were not born as a human being with fear. You were born with two fears and two fears only. The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. You were not born with the fear of public speaking.
Is there anything from your childhood that you're picking up even today? How has your definition of success changed, and how to deliver it effectively? When you first made your serious money, what emotional void did you expect it to fill? Guys, I need to say something. We're building something really special here. The level of guests, the conversations, the depth we are going in week by week, it's becoming better and better, more and more valuable. But there is one thing which doesn't make any sense. Almost 90% of you who keep watching the episodes, who keep coming back week by week, are not subscribed yet. Which means one thing, you're not fully part of that journey. I get it, it's one click, it feels small, but for us, and myself personally, means everything. It tells the algorithm that we matter, it helps us reach bigger guests, and create better and better podcast episodes, which at the end of the day are equally for myself like for yourself. They bring the value. So if there was ever a moment to support us, I please you to do it right now. Check if you're subscribed, and if you're not, it's completely free. It doesn't mean to you that much like it means to us. Just click the subscribe button, and by that way, you will help us grow bigger and bigger. And what I can promise you is that me and my team will continue making improves, and very soon move ourselves to the real studio where we will record even more powerful episodes with same and new guests. Check are you subscribed, and subscribe right now. Thank you. James Malinchak, thank you so much for being today here with me on the NGrS show. And before I even start meeting the audience with all your work and everything you did, I want to tell you that your numbers are impressive all across the internet. Right now, we were speaking about that 50 million times mentioned in the different medias, a lot of books. We're speaking about over 20-something books, right? And all of this from a man who wanted to do one thing, to inspire young kids, to inspire young people, to inspire people to move on and to change their belief. So my first question for you today is, when you look back at your childhood, what was your belief about yourself that drives you today? Is there anything from your childhood that you're picking up even today?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Anytime I get to share some ideas that might help someone, I'm always grateful. So thanks for having me for your viewers and your listeners.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
I grew up in a very tiny steel mill town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, here in the U.S., and we didn't have much growing up. Mom was a lunch mother serving lunches to us kids at school, and Dad was a guy that worked in the steel mill. We had about 6,000 people in our little town. And so, I grew up with certain patterns or beliefs, if you will, mindsets, that have served me well. And then I sort of adjusted along the way. And my dad used to always tell me that, son, you got to work hard. And he was a hard worker. He worked in the mill. He would get a day off from work and he would paint the house. He never just sat around. And so I always had the mindset of working hard, which I did. and it allowed me to get out of the small town, go on to get a basketball scholarship, do some things in life. But along the course, along the path, I started to discover something that hard work just gets you hard work. Okay.
Yeah.
And we get no brownie points at the end of our lives at the pearly gates for how hard we worked. So what I discovered was it's not about working harder. My mindset shifted. It's not about working harder. I usually tell my audiences it's not about working harder, it's about working, and they all say smarter. And I said, that's not true. It's not about working harder. It's not about working smarter. It's about working right. You do
Mm.
the right things. You do the right paths. You make the right decisions. You don't have to work hard. Like, because hard work gets you nothing but hard work. I see a lot of people that work 12, 14, 15, 18 hours a day, and they're no further along to their goals, their dreams, or growing a business, whatever it is they want to do. And, when I look at someone, especially in their business, because I do a lot of business consulting, the very first thing I want to check out is how they're working. What's their mindset around work? And usually their mindset is like mine was growing up. You got to work hard. And I'm
Yep.
like, but if you're working hard, but not on the right things and doing things the right way, I always there's an old line where the goes, the ball flows. But if I simply move just my elbow in like this and shoot the ball the right way, I make shots. I
Yeah.
don't have to practice 14 hours a day. I got to practice shooting the right way. So
Yeah.
it's not about working harder or smarter. It's about working right.
Whenever you come to the salesperson will tell you, I know how to help you. We are having perfect solution for you. But in fact, you have a great product, you have a great offer, you know that you can help so many people, but you're still inconsistent. Why it's like that? Because you misunderstand two basic principles. And let me tell you something, it's not economy, it's not war, it's not current president or political situation, none of that. Because simply you and money were always on the same planet Earth. You never left the planet, and most likely money never did it, right? The only two ways are the reason why it's like that. Number one thing, which can be the reason, is that you don't know the right way of presenting your offer. Number two can be that you don't know the proper way to whom to present it, which boils down to you don't know to whom to sell, or you don't know the right way to speak to the people to whom to sell. I have been scaling in the past 10 years multiple of my own companies and companies of my clients from $0 to $200,000 in sales, being in China, selling physical, perishable items like food and beverages, and without speaking Chinese, without writing Chinese, and without knowing how to sell to Chinese people. But I knew one core principle, and this is that psychology of people never change. So I knew to whom to sell, and I knew exact way how to present my offer to them. I was scaling up my digital businesses to hundreds of thousands of dollars, again understanding two core principles: to whom to sell, so who can benefit from my offer, and the way, when, and how to present them my offer. And there is no magic and there is no secret behind that. It's really easy to understand it. But in order to this video be very short, I put all of this together in the school community, which is completely for free. You can join it right now, clicking on the link below in the description box, and you can discover these two principles. It will take you a couple of days to figure it out yourself and to practice it, and then your sales will become consistent. Until then, see you in the school community. Bye for now. I heard about that you was very good in basketball and that you used to like shooting at night and to
Yeah.
practice on the basketball court. And I heard that you're 6'3" tall, and that this is very impressive for somebody like you, because usually somehow entrepreneurs are not so much sporty. They are in the gym, they are about healthy lifestyle, but they're not that deep in sport like you. When you go back in that childhood and growing up, was your driving force to prove your dad it's wrong, like working hard doesn't equal I'm gonna be successful, or you was trying maybe to escape something what would bother you? Because you made exceptional way out. You're definitely, for so many people who are in any sort of business, you're definitely in top 0.1%, and everybody would say, okay, I want to be like a James Malinchak. I want to have this lifestyle, speaking and making from that, sharing my wisdom, sharing my knowledge, inspiring. So my question to you is, what was your driving force in that period of time?
Yeah, the driving force for me was I wanted to get out of the small town.
Hmm.
And there's nothing wrong or incorrect with anyone that I grew up with that chose to stay there. It just wasn't for me. I knew that I had some big dreams and big goals, and I knew I could not be in that town, in that environment, in order to do some of the things I wanted to do in life. So for me, it was, how do I get out of this town? Because a lot of folks, that would be in the town or grew up with me, they end up, working in the mill or working in other
Yeah.
jobs around the town. Nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't in my paradigm of goals and dreams that I had. So I thought that my way to do that, meaning pursue goals and dreams, was I had to get out of the small town. And my way out was through a basketball scholarship. I wasn't the sharpest, smartest guy, so I wasn't going to get an academic scholarship. I was a C student in school, and you know
Wow.
what that is, see your way through school. That was me. And
Okay.
so I practiced all the time and tried to get better with my skills to get good enough to get a scholarship so that I could actually get out of the town and pursue things I wanted to do in life.
Is there any part of your mindset in that time which helped you succeed early on? What would you say today that it's guilty guilty for that?
Yes. So I started to, before my junior year, get recruited by colleges, basketball uh, coaches. And I would get letters in the mail. And they would call. I can remember one day being in English class, and I was in there early before class had started. And I was always a positive kid. But for this time, I was sort of like not positive. I was kind of down in the dumps a little bit. And I was reading some of the letters that had come in from colleges, universities recruiting me. And my English teacher, Mrs. Monahan, came in, and she could tell I was kind of like a little down, and that wasn't my character. And she said, "Well, what's wrong?" And I said, "Well, I'm getting recruited, or getting letters and interest from all these colleges." And she's like, "Well, that's great." And then I went into the old excuse mode. Yeah, but I'm probably not quick enough to play college basketball. I'm probably not good enough. We're in this small town. People from our town just don't do stuff like that. And she says, "Well, why do you
A
think
lot
that?" I
of
said, "Well, that's what."
excuses.
Yeah, a lot of excuses. And she said, "Well, why do you think that way?" And I said, "Well, because that's what everybody says. That's what everybody tells me." And Nick, I'll never forget. I mean, she must be 4 foot 11. She got up from around her desk, walked around the desk, got in my face, and put the fear of God in me. She got in my face and she said, "Look at me. It's ridiculous for you to listen to people who tell you that you can't do something. You could do whatever you want to do in life because if you can dream it, you could do it. Now go do it." And that was like, the jolt of lightning that
Mm.
shifted everything. And I said, "Well, heck with listening to everybody else. I'm going to go do it. What do I want to do? I want to get a basket. I'm going to do it." And that was the thing that was a pivotal moment for me as a mentor, a coach, if you will. This happened to be my English teacher, you know, basically telling me to pull my head out of my butt and stop listening to people and go do what I want to do in life.
You have been connected with so many people, and it's really impressive to see you are networking across the internet and the people whom you met to meet, to speak on their stages. And I want to ask you, what do you think, assuming all of them, what people misunderstand mostly about journey? Do they take it as something where I need to come to the end destination, or do they overestimate it, underestimate it? How do you feel it nowadays, looking backwards, everything that you did?
Well, I think everybody looks for the, I won't say everybody, but majority of people look for the short, quick road, and they don't
Hmm.
understand it. It's a journey, right? It's a process. It's a lifelong pursuit. And they're looking for like the quick fix. Like they want the quick relationship. They want the quick success. They want the quick money. And I always looked at it as, I'm in this for the long term, right? I'm not just trying to like succeed next year or 6 months. This is like I'm setting everything up for forever. And let me touch on, you said networking, right? Something that I teach is stop networking. And that's how I think most people think. They go out and network because I could do this. I could shake your hand and say, "Hey, Nick, how you doing?" That's networking. I can go,
Yeah,
"Hey, Fred, how you
I
doing?"
understand
"Hey,
it.
Sally, how you doing?" That's networking, right? Or you see it happen all the time at events where somebody walks up to you, they introduce themselves to you, and then they start throwing up all over you because they start talking about how great they are and everything they do, and they have absolutely no genuine interest in you. That is networking. I teach stop networking, start relationship working.
Very
Remember
well said.
this: networking equals pest working. When you network, you are an uninvited pest. When you focus on relationship working, you become a welcomed guest.
Very wise words. And I now remember one post I read probably 2 years ago where a woman asked Myron Golden for the photo, and he said to her, "Sure, we can make it, but how this photo will serve the world? What will you do with that photo to your audience? Why don't you better ask me a question so that you can make a post how I answered you and help somebody with that, and then you put the photo." So we're now living in that time where it's this a little bit misunderstood, and people are very fast in the way like, I made a connection, let me teach you how we can make the money. It doesn't go that way, and it's usually ending up very badly. Um,
So think
Breaking
about it.
up.
Let me touch on that. Let me touch on that for a second. So let's go back to the networking relationship working. Networking, it means you're all about yourself.
Yeah,
I'm going to network and get contacts. Relationship working, I go and I want to meet you and serve you and help you and see if there's something I can do for you. That's why I tell people don't ever network. Like all these
yeah.
people run around saying, "Look, go network, go pick up people's contact information." I'm like, well, that's being a taker. You want a relationship work where you go and you become a server. That's thinking long term. Like, how can I help this person? So you mentioned that I have a lot of quote unquote famous folks. I was just having breakfast uh, recently with, and I'm not going to name the person in the group because they're pretty famous, but they were playing a concert, for 20,000 people, and I'm having breakfast the day of the concert with one of the main people, the big stars of the group, and people were like, "Wow, how do you get in with people like that?" And I'm like, "You don't understand. I have been serving and helping this person for 12 years. I never asked for anything. I just trying to
Yeah.
build a relationship I was genuinely interested in, to the point where when they come in town, I get a phone call. "Hey, man, you want some tickets? You want VIP passes? Hey, could you meet me for breakfast?" I mean, they could literally call anyone. And now I don't say that to say, "Hey, look at me." I say that because that is how you actually get in with folks, is you focus on relationship working and serving, not networking and taking.
And look at this, if you go now backwards, that your inspiration was in that time when you were starting your career to inspire and influence on young people, you actually all the way through career keep doing that. So you basically living what you're preaching, and that's something what definitely distinguish you and put you on the top of that, however you call it, pyramid or whatever. And I want to ask you, uh, how actually happened that you decide to go as a public speaker? What was this turning point in life where you said, okay, I'm a basketball, playing the basketball, I'm good in that, I'm very good in sport. And then you said, like, all right, let's try this.
Yeah. So when I came out of college, so I played basketball, but in college I twisted my knee, ripped it all up, had to have surgery, and my career was over pretty much. So then I went to Plan B, which I wanted to get my dream job coming out of college, which was to be a stockbroker. That's something that I always want. If professional basketball didn't work out for me, then I wanted to be a stockbroker. Well, in college, I was a C student. I didn't have the best grades. I wasn't top of the class. I wasn't the, voted most likely to succeed or anything like that. So long story short, I did all these unique things to package, market, and sell myself to employers, where I ended up getting hired in the city I wanted to live in, which at the time was Los Angeles, and work for the Wall Street investment firm that I wanted to work for. And I did that 6 months before I graduated from college. Right. So I go back to college, and one day I was walking to a movie. I was going to the movie theater, and it hit me, man, there ought to be a book on something like this that helps people like me, the average everyday student who maybe doesn't have the best grades or doesn't look as good as others on a sheet of paper, meaning a resume. There should be something for me that helps me land my dream job, even though I don't have those other attributes. And so I was looking around, I couldn't find anything on a book like that, right? I would see books that were written by like some person who has 6 PhDs, works in in an office, and I'm like, well, that's not me, right? They don't understand what I'm going through. And so I don't know why I said this, Nick, but I said, I'm going to write the book. Nick, I never even read a book in college, let alone how am I going to write a book?
Yeah, it was that one C one who see through the school, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so all I did was I just started to, I had this back in tape recorder days, like cassette tapes. I had a little tape recorder, and I just talked randomly about all the things I did to package, market, and sell myself. And then I sat there. This is way before AI and transcription companies. I sat there and listened to the recorder, and I typed on a typewriter. Now I'm dating myself, not even a computer. Like I transcribed all these cassettes with random things that I did. And then I just started like to try to organize the paper and the things in a certain order. And I did it. I published my first book. It was called From College to the Real World: Street Smart Strategies for Landing Your Dream Job and Creating a Successful Future. And the whole pitch was that it was written by somebody like you. It's written by me. And I just did it. I landed my dream job. Now, I didn't know anything about doing a book. I didn't know anything about publishing it. I printed it up at like the local print shop for like $8 a pop. I'm trying to sell it for 10. Like I didn't know anything about doing a book. And so I got all these books in my garage, and then something happened. A revelation happened. The credit card bill showed up, and I had to pay it. And so I got all these books in the garage. I got this credit card bill that I don't know was like $5,000. And I realized something at that time, that nobody cares about your bills but you and the people you owe.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, I got to do something to pay these bills. So I literally, now I'm dating myself, I opened up a telephone book, and I went and I started cold calling every college in Southern California that I could find, just picking up the phone and calling and asking, hey, who books speakers at universities and colleges? They didn't know. They're transferring me to like the librarian, to like the custodian, to the nurse at the school. And then finally, one time I got a guy on the phone. He was a professor. And I said, oh, I wrote, I would love to come and speak to your students. And he said, well, we don't really let people come in our classroom. And this is pivotal. Ready, Nick? I said, I don't even know why I said it. I just said, well, I wrote this book. And he went, wait, what? You wrote a book? What's the book called? And I told him the title: From College to the Real World: Street Smart Strategies for Landing Your Dream Job and Creating a Successful Future. And he said, well, why don't you come in then and talk to my class on your book? The book changed his perception of me. The book made him think I was a somebody.
Yeah, it
He,
brings
he
authority.
didn't know yeah, he didn't know I printed up for $8 at the print shop down the street, right? And the cover was so ugly. I mean, it was old Microsoft clip art that wasn't fancy. I mean, it was bad looking. Okay, but
It's very
but here so
interesting.
here's but here
It's
here's
very.
how I really got started. I
Mhm,
did that about I did that. I spoke. There were about 20 kids, 25 kids there. 10 of them at the end bought my book for $10. I made $100. I went outside in the bathroom. I looked under the stalls. Nobody was in there. And I started jumping up and down because I could not believe I made $100.
Wow, that's so
And
awesome,
then
man.
that's how I started. I didn't know anything about speaking. And then one day, one guy, I kept doing that over and over and over. And one guy said this to me. He said, hey, do you know that colleges and universities actually pay speakers to come in and talk like you just did for free. I had no idea. And once he told me that, I started researching it and I started booking myself like crazy. Long story short, I went on to become two-time National College Speaker of the Year, spoke at over 1,000 college campuses, and helped a lot of kids. But that's how I got started. Then I'd started doing corporations and all bunch of different groups. But that's how I got started. I had no plans on being a speaker. I didn't even know it existed.
It's beautiful. You literally broke all the odds. It's amazing. I never knew that story. Thank you for sharing it. And
You're welcome.
want to ask you, uh, what's the biggest lie people believe about becoming a professional speaker? What do you see nowadays when people come to you and say why they cannot make it, why they cannot be professional speakers?
So I, I'll tell you why. The number one reason is because it's not what I hear all the time, because a lot of times I have to tell them this because they don't understand it. They think that the message and the story that they have is what actually makes them successful.
Hmm.
Nothing could be further from the truth. If you listen to people online who teach become a speaker, they completely teach people the wrong way. All of them. I see them all doing this. This is why, like, I do. This is why I've had my success because I teach the real stuff. You know what they teach? Okay, let's craft your message.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody that knows any lick about business, any business knows that the number one mistake in all marketing in any business is creating a product or service first and then trying to find people who will buy it. No, if you know anything about business, you pick a market first, you find out what the market is buying, and then you say, how do I craft a product or service to match what they're already wanting to buy? Same thing in speaking. Everybody tells you create your message first, and they're creating messages that nobody will book and nobody will pay money for. And what makes me different, and I said, no, we don't do that. We're going to pick a market first. Do you want to speak for teenagers? Do you want to speak for corporations? Do you want to speak for entrepreneurs? Do you want to speak for real estate agents? Do you want to speak for ophthalmologists? Because depending on which market you pick, that's when we then craft a message to match. Because if you have a message that they don't care about, you're never going to get booked and make any money. So you always start with the market first, not the message. Everybody else teaches start with the message, and they mess a lot of people up.
I love it. Never thought in that direction, but makes a lot of sense because you can literally model it from this to that
Sure.
sphere, and it can make a lot of sense. And the thing which I personally have problem with, because I'm the person who do a lot of events, sales events, and like for myself, like for my clients, I sometimes feel sharing my story it's too boring. And then I start questioning myself, why do I do that? Is this because I heard it and I lived that story and I heard it a million times? Or this is simply because I'm thinking like, oh my God, am I making somebody boring? So then I start to hurry up and this and that. And it took me a lot, like it took me a lot to understand that speaking slower, calmer, and still delivering my story is very, very important because it makes complete concept of that event. So I want to
Well,
ask you now,
can I give you a quick tip on how to tell your story? Your story is only
ex
three things.
exactly that's what I wanted to
Was
ask
that
you.
what your question was?
Yes. So how to deliver it effectively and give me those three tips.
So here, this I'll start off with a second mistake that most people make in speaking. They go like this: they get out a violin and they start violining, like, "Let me tell you about me, and here's how I am, and I'm so wonderful," and the audience is sitting there going,
Yeah, of
they're
course.
throwing up, like they don't care. All the audience wants to know, is there any value in this for me that's going to impact me and help me? Okay, so, but you do have to tell your story because that's how you connect in the beginning. The problem is nobody teaches you to tell your story the right way in order to connect. And remember this, Nick, when you connect, you collect.
Oh,
When you
okay.
connect, you collect. I have a new book coming out called Connect to Collect. And it's all about how when you connect with people, that's when everything works for you. You get booked to speak, you'll make sales, you'll get referrals, but nobody focuses on connection. So your story is three things. One, it is the before, it's your mess. Number two, it's a turning point that turned it all around. And number three, it's the success. By the way, my friend, you just heard it here a little bit earlier. James, how did you get started speaking? You heard
Yeah,
my mess. I didn't know how to do a book, $8 a copy. I picked up the phone book, cold call. What was the turning point? The guy said to me, do you
that you
know
can charge.
colleges? Yep. And then what was the success? I went on to become I booked a bunch of talks, 1,000 colleges, two-time National College Speaker of the Year. Okay, so that's how you tell a story to get people to connect. You know why? Because people, you know what that does? Watch this. On a subconscious level, that says, wow, he didn't start with anything. He was where I might be at now. Two, wow, there was a turning point. He figured something out. And three, he went on to have success. Oh my gosh, maybe I should listen to him and do what he says because he's already figured it out. And then you spend the rest of the talk giving real strategies that people can actually use and take away and use right away in their life.
Yeah, and that's very powerful. Thank you for sharing this.
You're
This
welcome.
is this is this is pure golden nugget. And guys, you who are watching, getting it for free, I envy you. Do you believe fear ever fully disappears, or is something what we get over and somehow get comfortable with it when we
Actually,
speak? Well,
you create fear. You know
hmm?
why?
Okay.
Because you were not born as a human being with fear. You were born with two fears and two fears only. The fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. You were not born with the fear of public speaking.
Yeah, 100%.
That is some that is something that we make up in our mind. And remember, what you choose to focus on expands, good or bad. So if you focus on, so let's take two speakers taking the stage in this example. First speaker goes, "Oh my gosh, I hope I don't forget my talk. Oh my gosh, there's 5,000 people out there. Oh my gosh, there's a spotlight." Well, you know why they have anxiety and maybe some fear that they're creating is because they're focusing on themselves. I take the stage this way, and this is what I teach all my students. Dear God, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share some ideas because I know that someone out there today is going to be helped and blessed. I truly feel grateful. Man, I'm here to make a difference in people's lives, and all I want to do is help one person. If I help one person, I've served my purpose. Anybody else that's helped, that's pure gravy. That's pure icing on top of the cake. And then that person goes out, takes the stage, and impacts the audience. You know why? Because they led with a napkin. They led with, I'm out here to serve the audience. The first person led with a bib. It's a
Yes.
take care of me. It's all about me. Look at me. I hope I don't mess up. I hope I do a good job. I hope they like me. We're here for the audience. We're not here for ourselves.
Wow. This is brilliant. I never heard of it, and you're absolutely right. Because if we just take this as a perspective, the small baby, it's never fearless to touch the oven because it simply cannot participate. That it's hot and it can burn, and etc. Babies are actually fearless. Probably we,
Mm.
like our parents, give them this fear by the time. That
Hmm.
that that's beautiful, and it brings me to entry another topic which I want to discuss with you, and this is a little bit about money where you're very good at. When you first made your serious money, what emotional void did you expect it to fill? And what was your thoughts on that?
So I never looked at it as an emotional void. What
Hmm?
what I looked at it was an emotional elimination.
Hmm?
Okay, and what I mean by that is I wanted to not stress
Yeah.
about eating, paying my rent. I wanted to live financially free and not have the burden of debt.
Yeah.
So it was more about an emotional release and getting rid of, I want to, look, there's an old line. I've been rich and I've been poor, and rich is better. I didn't say it. I heard that line years ago. And it's not about, for me, money is not about buying things. It's not about yacht. It's not about cars. I don't care about any of that stuff. Money to me was always a tool to create freedom,
Hmm.
to wake up. and not worry about a bill, to wake up and if everything goes down the tubes, I own my house because it's paid off. I don't have to worry about living somewhere,
True.
right? If I don't want to work, then I don't work. If I, God forbid, you got sick or injured, you don't worry about the money because if you have to and worry about debts and bills and all that, then that creates an enormous amount of anxiety and stress, which depletes your immune system. When your immune system gets depleted, even more disease can set in. So for me, it was always about I want to make some real money, and real money to me was paying off all debts, getting out of debt. And then the second phase of real money became all that money that I'd be paying here, I'm going to keep making and I'm just going to put it to grow for me. And so I figured out, what, like people say, don't pay your house off. There's good debt, there's bad debt. I said, look, you call it whatever you want, but it says it in the Bible. The borrower is a slave to the lender.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is no good debt, bad debt. It's all debt. Okay. In my opinion. And I have a mentor that's worth a lot of money, several $100 million, has been my mentor my whole life, came from the same small steel mill town that I came from, didn't have anything. And he's taught me various nuggets growing up. Rule number one, James, don't owe people money. He said, I know more about money and leveraging than most of these people. He was a big commodity trader. He would trade gold, silver, and mercantile in the commodity exchange. And he said, I know more about money and floating and debt than anybody out there. And he said, at the end of the day, you put your head down on the pillow, owing people money. You wake up every morning owing people money, and that plays stress on your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit, your nervous system. And then I'll
100%.
never forget, he would say, what is the price for peace of mind?
Oh, yeah.
For peace of mind, to wake up and not worry about that stuff. That if, God forbid, a situation like COVID happened, which nobody expected, a lot of people went out of business, understandably. And I
Yeah.
don't mean this in a look at me kind of way, but it didn't matter to me one iota that the whole economic world shut down because I had no debt. I was fine. Because I set it up from the beginning. So, and again, I don't say that to look at me. I just say it to set it an example for the answer. Is money to me means freedom. So you have to pick that number for you because everybody's different of what that money freedom number is. I
Yeah, of
knew
course.
mine, and once I hit it, I was like, okay, good. I hit my money freedom number 12, 15 years ago, I think it was. I can't remember when it was, where I had no debt, didn't matter if I worked again. What I do now is I work because I like to work and I like to help people.
Yeah,
But
that's
to
the
me,
other thing.
that's what it is. It's
That's the other
freedom
thing.
to me.
James, I must ask you here, was there, considering that you talk about your mentor and that he is very big on money, was there any big mindset shift beliefs about the money which you developed and you would like to share?
Yeah. So the first is he would always say, "Don't owe people money." The second he would always say is, "Don't swing for the fence. Don't try to hit home runs." Right?
Mm,
Don't if because he would give baseball analogies like Ted Williams, I'm sorry, Babe Ruth or Barry Bonds hit a lot of home runs, but they also struck out more than anyone else. You want to be the guy that gets on base consistently all the time. So don't like bet on things that you don't know anything about,
yeah,
right? So there's a lot of people that are in the crypto world right now. I get asked this all the time. Do you do crypto? I'm like, nope, don't know anything about it. Don't care to know anything about it. I'm good with what I'm doing. I'm not good at it. I know what I'm good at. I'll stick in my lane, right? So that's another thing is don't don't swing for the fence. Just be consistent. My rule is this when it comes to money and investing, slow and steady pace always wins the race in the end.
oh yeah,
Okay. So don't
very
owe
well said.
people money. Don't owe people money. Don't swing for the fence. And then the third thing is he would always tell me, always invest or buy quality. If you're going to get a washer and dryer, get a quality washer and dryer because you'll spend more time fixing the bad one. If you're going to get a car, get a good quality car because you'll spend more time fixing the bad one and more expense. If you're going to invest in a stock, a bond, mutual fund, life insurance, make sure you get a quality company, a quality investment, because you'll spend more time stressing out over the bad ones. So there's some money tips for you.
Those are beautiful, and you're here spilling tips, and I didn't expect that. Thank you so much for this. This is really,
You're welcome.
this
I
is
hope it
this
helps.
this is really very helpful, and I'm believing very helpful for so many people who are listening out here. And you're in the part of your career where everybody can say, okay, James already left huge legacy. If we just speak about books, people don't write one book for their entire life. And you even right now share with us that you're writing a new one. And how many have you been writing? Like 26, 7, 8 books, maybe even more than
Thir
that.
30, 31 so far.
31. Amazing. Huge respect for that. Want to ask you, when you write every next book, when you sit down and decide to write it, is there always the same goal to inspire and impact more people? Or there is some part of yourself which you want to relieve and kind of to share with people today do not make mistakes where you made it or something else?
So I think everyone has had a different purpose along the journey. Some books I wrote just to get into a market I wanted to speak in. Okay,
Beautiful.
so oh yeah, I did a book on referrals just so I could speak for salespeople. Like
Mhm.
that was the whole purpose of the book. Because when you're an expert, people want you to speak on the book,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So I did a whole book on where it's called Millionaire Referral Secrets, and it's all about how to turn ordinary contacts into an abundance of business. And that whole book was written just to get me into sales organizations to be able to speak for them and train their salespeople. That was the whole purpose of that book. I wrote a book for teenagers because I just wanted to help kids. A book called Teenagers Tips for Success, and I wanted to help them create their future and become successful. So that was a different purpose than like the referral book. That the book I'm working on right now, my company is Big Money Speaker. BigMoneySpeaker.com is the website, and the book is called Big Money Speaker. And for years, I did a Big Money Speaker boot camp where people would come and I'd teach them for 4 days, like really teach. Like I'd be on stage for 10, 12 hours teaching. And so this book I'm doing because people always say, man, nobody teaches speaking like you do with all these nuggets on how you actually make big money. And so I got to thinking one day about a year or so ago, because I never put it into a book because mine was always a training you had to come to. And I thought, well, you know what? The Bible is a book. It's not a seminar. Think and Grow Rich is a book. It's not a seminar, right?
Absolutely.
If, if you take the five love languages, which is a big relationship, it's a book. It's not a seminar. And I thought, well, if I really want to leave a legacy and really want to help a lot of people, because I don't do my seminar, my boot camps anymore, then I need to put all my strategies from my 4 day event into a book. And the reason I'm doing that is because I just want to leave a legacy and have it help people who would never come to a seminar if I were still running them. So each one, for me, has a different purpose of why I do a book.
And how has your definition of success changed then over the book to book, from year to year, from the moment when you hit your amount of money, which makes you in stable life position to not worry?
Well, my definition has always been the same. Number one, it's always been there's three components. One, it's happiness. Like I only do things that make me happy. Like
Beautiful.
you could achieve something and be miserable. Well, to me, that's stupid,
Yeah.
right? Like, why wouldn't you want to be happy? Like, so do things that make you happy. So happiness, number one. Number two is freedom, where the money piece we talked about earlier ties into it. And, freedom to do what you want, where you want, wherever you want, with whom you don't want, as little as you want, as much as you want, right? It's the choice. It's to have that freedom. And then the third is serving and giving back and helping others, especially those who are less fortunate. I believe God blesses you so you could bless others. And so that's to me, that's always been success, if you will. It's happiness, it's freedom, and it's serving.
Is there any part of you that you're currently unlearning from the
Uh,
past years?
yeah, it's it's hard to unlearn it too, really hard, because I love what I do. So like literally I could, if lack of a better way, I could work all day and all night because it's not
Well,
work for me
yeah,
because
you
I
love
love
it.
it. But I'm unlearning doing that so that I do other things.
That's very beautiful. And considering and to the respect of your time, I would like to last question be actually something what you would like to leave audience with, and what would be your message for everybody who listen, who is about to write a book, exit to speak on the public, to speak on the stage, maybe not on stage, to speak on the live, or however to make some impact in the world and to create something from that entrepreneurial journey? What would be your message for them?
Yeah, I would say it's the same message Mrs. Monahan gave me back in high school and junior high school. It's ridiculous for you to listen to people who tell you you can't do something. And if you could dream it, you could do it. Now get off your butt and go do it and stop listening to all the naysayers and stop making excuses for yourself. Just figure out a way to make it happen. See if you got to take the T out of can't. Right? Take the T out of can't and ask yourself a question. What do I or what do we have to do to make it happen? Will it be difficult? Will it be hard? Will people laugh at you, discourage you, put you down, talk negatively about you? Probably, because that's the way life is. Life's not fair. Life's not unfair. Life is life. And so just get up and if you really want to make it happen, then go make it happen. People far worse in worse situations than you do things every day. So why not you? Might as well be you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, James. I really appreciate
Uh,
your time and all your wisdom you shared with us today.
Uh, Nick, my friend, you are welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.